By the Numbers, a special video edition of the smartoncrime.ca blog. My name is Anthony Piscitelli. I am Supervisor Planning and Research with the Waterloo Region Crime Prevention Council, and today we will discuss public opinion towards the criminal justice system. Last time, we began our conversation about attitudes towards the criminal justice system and crime policy by exploring attitudes over time. Today, we will bring crime policy into this discussion. You'll recall, in the previous episode, we showed a curve related to attitudes towards criminal justice institutions. Dissatisfaction rose in the late 80s and early 90s, then it started steadily declining, until today. Now let's bring in a similar graph to look at attitudes towards sentencing. In this graph, we see a similar curve. Support for harsher sentences increases from the 1970s to the early 1990s. Then it starts to decline. So this really provides the backdrop for understanding attitudes towards sentencing when it comes to public policy. So how is it that these opinions influence crime policy? Well, let's begin by saying they don't always have a large impact. Despite a perception that politicians pander to public opinion, the reality is that policy is often in sharp contrast to public opinion. In fact, occasionally, new policies even oppose public opinion. This happens because issues in public opinion polls are often of low importance to the general public. Respondents may not have thought much about the issues, meaning they are open to changing their mind with new information. The opinions held may not be very important to the respondent. Think about some time when you've been given a public opinion poll. Did you know the answer to every question? Did you care about every question? Was it all relevant to you? This creates a problem in public opinion polls, because if respondents don't really care about the issues, they may be willing to change their mind in future, and the opinion poll may not be that accurate. This is not to say public opinion doesn't matter, but it needs to be placed in context to understand its influence. Generally, we see a relatively straightforward relationship between public opinion and policy. Looking at the current chart, let's focus in on demographic factors. These are things like age, your gender, where you live, your income. These factors influence people's public opinion. Now, when you combine current public opinion and current public policy, they come together to help form future public opinion and future policies. Of course, if you start to think backwards, this becomes more complicated, with past policy and past opinion influencing current policy and current opinion, and so on and so on and so on. Let's give an example to illustrate this. Canada abolished the death penalty on July 14, 1976. This occurs despite 80% of the public being in support of the death penalty. Then something interesting happens. Support for capital punishment starts to fall, and it keeps falling for the next 35 years. We examine these numbers a bit farther, and we see part of this is that young people are less supportive of the death penalty than those who are older. But we also see that individual cohorts are less supportive. That is, if we follow one group of people as they age, that group as a whole is becoming less supportive of the death penalty. Support for the death penalty currently sits at about 50%, and it seems poised to continue to fall. This brings up an obvious question. Does a debate about policy and policy changes impact public opinion? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this question. You can post your reply below this blog, or send us a message on Twitter at Preventing Crime. To find out my answer, though, you'll need to join us next time on By the Numbers.